Hey, what's up everybody? I wanted to do a follow-up video to the previous video that I made showing all the Sikky tips and tricks of the swap kit and everything like that. So basically what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to put my transmission in separately from putting the entire drivetrain in. And I know that Sikky wants you to put the whole trans and engine assembly in one shot, and that's fine for people that are doing street cars and stuff like that. But when I'm at the track, you know, competition, stuff like that, if I've got an issue with the transmission, clutch, you know, throwout bearing, anything like that, I want to be able to pull the transmission at the track and not have to sacrifice a whole lot of time and disconnecting lines and everything like that. So I originally showed you guys kind of an area where I wanted to hammer out and get some clearance, and it wasn't even close. I had to do so much more clearancing, and I'm going to show you guys that right now. So as you can see here, this entire area all the way down here needed to be clearanced. And why it looks like this is because this is so strong, I had to get the torch on it and use my air hammer. I got this thing glowing red hot and air hammered it in as much as I possibly could. And then on this side, this was a lot easier, but I still had to use the air hammer with the flat bits that I'll show you guys here in a second. But as you can see from kind of this angle here, there's a lot of clearancing that needed to happen. And these are the bits that I used right here. So this is my air hammer. And then got these off of Amazon. They are called smoothing bits for air hammers, and some of them have kind of like a rounded tip, and then some are flat. But yeah, this is what I used. So they just kind of lock in here like that, and it takes a long time. Wear ear protection, and just kind of go to town. But I mean, if you are a weekend warrior or something like that, and just an everyday street car or whatever, then you probably don't even care about this. But for the you track guys and stuff that want to take stuff out separately, I really wanted you to see this and what you need to do. Also, I had to do some clearancing on the transmission. There are some tabs that were on here that I chopped off because they were interfering with the trans tunnel. So I got rid of one here, one here. This is on the passenger side. And then on the driver's side, I removed one in this area as well, you can see. And then I also trimmed back this mounting tab here. You can see how much I kind of cut off there. There's still plenty of metal and material left around this bolt hole, so I wasn't worried about how much I had trimmed off. So that's what I needed to do in order to get this to fit. And just, I'm trying to help you guys out. So if you run into a situation where you're trying to put the transmission in after you've already put the engine in, and you're like, why can't this fit? That's why. Also, the bell housing needs to go on the engine prior to installing. I think now with how much clearancing I did, I could probably get it on, but I'm not going to take that chance. So I'm going to install that, make sure that that stays on the engine if I got to pull the transmission. But yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and touch all of this up. I'm going to paint it, because I had just painted this whole thing and then I had to hammer it out. So I'm going to touch all that up, and then I'm going to throw in the engine, transmission, and I'm going to show you guys what all that looks like. All right. So I got the parts all painted that I bashed in on the trans tunnel and massaged. But I wanted to show you guys that I've got the trans in here, and you can see the clearance around it. I'm trying to get the light there. There you go. So that's the passenger side, and then it's pretty close here on the driver's side, but it does clear. so you can maneuver it around the trans mounts. You just have to kind of go at an angle, tilt this. If you've got a trans jack, you can use this and tilt it kind of on this axis and bring it up in over the pressure plate fingers and then level it out and slide it in. So right now I'm going to go ahead and bolt this up and bring this to mate the trans to the bell housing, and then throw the trans brace on, and this will be installed finally. Alright, I want to give you guys a last look here at the transmission being all bolted in and everything. So you can see there where it fits in the shifter slot. This seems to be touching the reverse lockout solenoid, so eventually I think I'm probably going to delete this because I don't use it anyways, and just give myself that clearance. You can see here my fuel line, I've got plenty of clearance there. I did have to switch from my E85 flex fuel sensor from being up here to down here because I test fit my drive shaft and differential, and the drive shaft was hitting this, so I moved it down here to the side. There's plenty of clearance now with the fuel filter, the flex fuel sensor, and the fuel line. But here's a look at the trans mount. The flanges here, where the bolt locations, the angle goes towards the rear of the vehicle. So for you people that are wondering which orientation this bracket goes, the angle goes towards the rear. So again, there it is bolted. Plenty of room. Well, I'm not gonna say plenty of room, but there's room. So like I said, I had to modify the transmission slightly. The lines fit in between the trans tunnel and the transmission, and they run up there. And again, here's this side. There's more than enough clearance on this side, but again, modify the transmission on this side, cut some tabs off and everything. So I think as far as the engine and transmission go, pretty good. I've started cleaning up some of the other things. I want to show you guys one other thing here. Let me lower the car down. Okay, so I was just installing the clutch master cylinder line, and I noticed that I couldn't get this banjo bolt in because it was hitting the back of the valve cover where the I believe this PCV crankcase is. So I had to take the nuts off and take the pin out of the clutch linkage, sorry, and tilt this, bring this off of the studs, tilt this thing up, and then I put the banjo bolt on. So that was a pain. So hopefully if you guys are seeing this, you can and you haven't done this step yet, or you're on it right now, you can use that information. So either put it on before you put the engine, well, I mean, actually you can't do that because it's connected to the transmission. So you're gonna have to do what I did, unless you're running a different engine. This is specifically for my engine, the L99, which is an LS3, but I don't know if the LS3 actually has the same feature here and it's the same shape and everything. So if you don't have this, if it's not the same shape or whatever, you can disregard this. But for an L99, which is the engine that I have, I could not fit this banjo bolt in while the clutch master was mounted. So I had to dismount it, angle it up, and then I could put the banjo bolt on. One other thing I'm gonna show you guys here is, I don't feel like bringing the car back up, the sway bar. I had a very difficult time trying to get it to fit in here because of the rack relocation. Now that we have hydraulic lines here, it wanted to hit. You can see right here where it was hitting this line. Now Chase Bays makes flex lines that I might consider if I want to put the sway bar back in, but it was also hitting the Sikky relocation, the oil filter relocation. You can see here where it was hitting as well. So I'm not exactly sure. Maybe you have to have the sway bar in while you're doing this. I had it in at one point and then I took it out because these bolts from the bell housing that Sikky gives you were like incredibly long, and I had to cut those down so I wouldn't hit the sway bar, but it was easier to just remove it. But yeah, so you can see that I've been hitting this, so I'm a little concerned and frustrated with that. But again, this is specific to having a hydraulic steering rack now, and it's relocated. So I'm gonna probably look into other routes and avenues to see if I can run a different setup. Might have to build my own sway bar. I don't know. Well, I think that pretty much does it. I can't really think of anything more for this specifically. Yeah, if I come up with something else, I will make another continuation video and share with you guys. But as far as the Sikky kit goes, between my previous video and this video, I think that you guys should be able to get your setup in without any real issues, just as long as you kind of follow along. Like I said too, if you guys find something that maybe I didn't think of or a better solution, you know, feel free to drop it in the comments and help out, you know, your fellow LS swap enthusiasts here, and you know, we can all help each other out in this community. You know, with the lack of information that's out there, and not saying that people gatekeep things, but sometimes they do. So I'm trying to not be one of those people and share my information as I go along here. So yeah, I'm gonna keep rolling here, put the headers in and tighten up some things. So I appreciate you guys sticking through and checking out the tips and tricks and all the weird stuff that it takes to get the Sikky kit, and you know, the other things that I'm kind of doing along on this build. And yeah, so thanks again guys, I really appreciate it, and I will catch you next time. See ya.